You think you've heard everything about Johnny Depp, right? Well, buckle up, because even his own movie crew was terrified of him once. Yeah, terrified. But not because of what you think. It wasn't fame, it wasn't attitude, and it definitely wasn't gossip. It was something way stranger. You see, Johnny Depp has always been known as one of Hollywood's most mysterious and unpredictable stars. He's charming, brilliant, and a little different. And when you hear what really happened on set, you'll understand why the people around him didn't just admire him, they were genuinely freaked out. But by the end of the story, you might start to see it differently too. Because what looked like madness might have actually been pure genius. So, what exactly happened? Let's rewind to the early 2000s. Johnny Depp had just started working on Pirates of the Caribbean, the movie that would turn him into an international icon. Everyone expected your typical pirate adventure. Fun costumes, sword fights, a few laughs, you know, standard Hollywood stuff. But Johnny had a different idea. He didn't want to just act like a pirate. He wanted to become one. From the moment filming started, Johnny disappeared, not literally, but in a way, he wasn't himself anymore. He showed up on set as Jack Sparrow. Not dressed as him, being him. He talked like Jack, walked like Jack, moved like Jack, even when the cameras weren't rolling. Imagine being part of that crew, setting up lights or adjusting the camera, and suddenly you hear this mumbling voice behind you saying something about treasure, rum, and curses. You turn around, and there's Johnny Depp, completely in character, staring into the distance like he's lost at sea. Yeah, that'll make anyone nervous. At first, the crew thought he was joking. Like, oh, Johnny's just getting into the role. But then it kept going. And going. He stayed in character all day. Sometimes all night. He'd wander off between takes, disappear for a while, and then come back with these strange stories that no one could really explain. One time he apparently wandered down to the beach and came back hours later, soaked and talking about a talking crab that gave him directions to his ship. No one knew if he was kidding or serious, and honestly, that's what made it kind of unsettling. Little things around the set started to go missing too. Props would vanish, compasses, maps, bits of jewelry, and then reappear in the weirdest places. Someone's chair. Inside a treasure chest. Even once inside a catering tent. People started joking that the set was haunted. But a few crew members quietly admitted they weren't sure if Johnny was okay. They thought maybe he was losing it. Or worse, that he might have actually gotten possessed by his character. Sounds crazy, right? But when you're there, seeing it happen in front of you, you might start to wonder too. The truth is, Johnny Depp is a deeply method actor. He doesn't just play a role, he lives it. He studies every detail. How the character talks, how they move, even how they think. When he created Jack Sparrow, he said he based the character partly on Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. That mix of swagger, charm, and chaos, it all came from there. And once you know that, everything suddenly makes sense. The weird walk, the slurred speech, the unpredictable behavior, that was all intentional. He wasn't going crazy, he was building something brilliant. Still, not everyone got it at the time. Some of the Disney executives actually hated his performance at first. They didn't understand why he was acting so weird. They thought he was ruining the movie. One of them even asked, is he drunk? Is he gay? What is he doing? Johnny just smiled and said, all of them. And that's exactly the kind of answer you'd expect from him. But on set, things got intense. During one of the big scenes, the crew was supposed to shoot a massive fight sequence. There were swords, explosions, water cannons, total chaos. And Johnny, of course, was right in the middle of it. Only this time, he went completely off script. No one knew what he was going to do next. He started improvising lines, stumbling through the action, and the director just let him roll. At first, people thought he was ruining the take. But when they watched the footage later, it was perfect. Every movement, every line, it was magic. That's when everyone realized something important. Johnny Depp wasn't lost. He was in total control. That moment changed everything. The crew that had once been terrified now started to understand. They saw how committed he was. They saw how his chaos brought life to the movie. It wasn't just acting, it was art. He was creating a character so real, so unpredictable, that you couldn't take your eyes off him. And that's why Pirates of the Caribbean became the blockbuster it did. Because it didn't just have a great story, it had Johnny Depp's magic all over it. From that day on, the crew stopped fearing him and started following his lead. They realized his energy was contagious. When Johnny was on set, everyone paid more attention. They worked harder, tried crazier ideas, and pushed boundaries. The fear turned into fascination. And in a way, the entire team learned something from him. It's funny how things like that work. Sometimes, when someone is truly great at what they do, it doesn't always look normal. Genius and madness can look a lot alike from the outside. But once you understand the purpose behind it, it all clicks into place. So what can we take from this story? Let's be honest, most of us will never have to play a drunk pirate captain in front of millions of people. But there's a lesson here that goes way beyond Hollywood. First, dedication looks crazy until it works. Think about it, at first, nobody believed in Depp's version of Jack Sparrow. They thought he was ruining the movie. But when the film came out and audiences went crazy for it, suddenly, everyone called him a genius. That's how it goes in life. People might not understand your passion when you're still figuring it out. But when the results show up, they'll see it differently. Second, authenticity beats perfection every single time. Johnny wasn't trying to be flawless. He wasn't worried about perfect lines or a perfect image. He wanted his character to feel real. He wanted the audience to believe Jack Sparrow was a living, breathing person. That's what made him unforgettable. And that's a good reminder for all of us, being yourself is always more powerful than trying to be perfect. And third, respect the process, even when it's strange. Every creative person has their own way of working. Some write all night, some practice alone, some get lost in their thoughts, and yeah, some pretend to be pirates for weeks. But that's what makes creativity so interesting. It doesn't follow rules. Sometimes, the weirdest methods lead to the most beautiful results. Johnny once said something that really sums it up: I think everybody's weird. We should all celebrate our individuality and not be embarrassed or ashamed of it. That mindset, that freedom to be strange, is what made him stand out in an industry full of copycats. Now, let's circle back to that crew. Remember, these were hard-working professionals who'd seen it all. They'd worked with massive stars, on big-budget films, with crazy directors. But none of them had ever seen anyone like Johnny Depp. In the beginning, they whispered about him. They swapped nervous glances when he did something unpredictable. But by the end, they were inspired. They realized that what looked terrifying at first was actually brilliance unfolding in real time. They weren't watching a man lose control. They were witnessing someone completely in control of his art. And that's the kind of thing that sticks with you. Even years later, many of those crew members still talk about that experience. They say it changed how they see acting, and even creativity itself. Because it showed them that art doesn't always look neat or easy. Sometimes it's messy, confusing, and yes, even a little scary. But that's where the magic happens. So when you watch Pirates of the Caribbean again, and you see Jack Sparrow stumbling around, slurring his words, and talking about the Black Pearl like it's a long-lost lover, remember, that wasn't just acting. That was Johnny Depp living inside a character so deeply that it blurred the line between fantasy and reality. And that's what makes it so unforgettable. It's kind of poetic, isn't it? The same thing that scared people at first is exactly what made them fall in love with his performance. It's a reminder that the things we fear or don't understand might just be brilliance in disguise. And honestly, that's something we can all relate to. How many times have people doubted your approach, your ideas, or your passion, just because it didn't look like what everyone else was doing? Sometimes, the best ideas are the ones that confuse people at first. So keep going. Because if Johnny Depp can turn total chaos into one of cinema's most iconic roles, imagine what you can do when you stop worrying about what others think. Now, I'm curious, what do you think? Was Johnny Depp's strange on-set behavior pure genius, or just a little too much? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing your takes on stories like this. Was he too extreme, or exactly what Hollywood needed? And if you enjoyed this story, you're going to love what's coming next. In the next video, we'll dive into another incredible behind-the-scenes story, the shocking truth behind Heath Ledger's Joker transformation. That one will seriously blow your mind. So make sure you stick around for that. Before you go, do me a favor, hit that like button if you had fun with this video. It really helps more people find the channel. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. There's a lot more where this came from, stories, secrets, and the untold truths behind the biggest names in Hollywood. And hey, whether you're an artist, a dreamer, or just someone who loves a good story, remember this, your weirdness is your power. Don't hide it. Don't tone it down. Because the world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs more people brave enough to stand out, just like Johnny Depp did. Until next time, my friend, keep your treasure close, and your rum even closer. See you in the next one.